really work?
It's a formal process. A separate case or post is made on the court docket. It's usually overseen by a panel, at least one justice and two other judges. Though if it sits unscheduled for 7 days, a single justice or an appointed judge can handle it. As a scheduled hearing, the defense, the person challenging the warrant, presents their arguments first, then the prosecution gets to rebut. And evidence from the main criminal or civil case can be referenced in this warrant contest hearing, and vice versa.
Okay, so what are the possible outcomes?
Two main verdicts: upheld or overturned. If it's upheld, the warrant stands, and any evidence found using it remains admissible in the main case. But if it's overturned, this is significant. The warrant is deemed invalid. And crucially, all evidence found as a result of that invalid search is suppressed.
Poisonous tree.
It can't be used against you in court. This is based on the legal doctrine known as fruit of the poisonous tree.
Fruit of the poisonous tree, meaning the evidence is tainted
you think this is Moira?
because the search itself was illegal.
Precisely.
Actually, you might be
if
right.
If the tree, the warrant search, is poisoned, so is its fruit, the evidence. However, there are some important exceptions to this rule. One is a good faith exception. If officers reasonably relied on a warrant that seemed valid but was later found defective, the evidence might still come in. Another is inevitable discovery. If the prosecution can prove they would have found the evidence eventually through legal means anyway, even without the bad warrant. And voluntary testimony, if someone confesses or provides information willingly, that might be admissible even if linked to an earlier flawed search.
Those exceptions are critical nuances.
Yeah.
Okay, one last section here, and it's one I honestly did not expect to see in search and seizure law: rights of the dead. What is this about?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting inclusion, Section H. It basically addresses the question of privacy and property rights after someone passes away. The legislation states quite plainly, deceased citizens retain no rights to privacy or property.
Yeah.
So what that means is getting search and
noise?
seizure warrants for information belonging to someone who has died or for places they used to own is legally permissible.
So investigators can access their old emails or search their last known residence even after they're gone?
Yes, if they obtain the proper warrant.
Whoa!
The rationale is
Who's
partly
that woman?
investigative crimes don't
There's a
necessarily
third.
stop being investigated just because a suspect or a witness dies. The legislation clarifies that any property taken from the deceased under such a warrant is seized as evidence only.
Ooh,
The
okay.
actual transfer of ownership or dealing with the estate happens through standard probate or state seizure procedures later. Any legal claims against the property would be handled in court. It sort of clears the path for investigations while respecting the eventual legal settlement of the estate. That's fascinating and a bit sobering, a very pragmatic
fuck is
approach to
that?
a modern problem, I suppose. Well, this has been an incredibly thorough deep dive into the San Andreas search and seizure legislation. We've really gone beyond just the headlines, understanding these specific rules, the exceptions, the procedures, the safeguards. It's genuinely valuable knowledge for anyone living here. You really do have a shortcut now to being well informed on this.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And you
he's
see how
back
this
here.
legislation really
He's back
tries
here.
piece by piece to manage that fundamental tension between our individual rights and the need for public safety, which really leads to a final thought, maybe something for you, the listener, to chew on. As our world changes, especially with technology, how do we make sure laws like this stay effective and fair?
This is scary.
How do we ensure they keep protecting liberty while still allowing law enforcement to do its job? Think about it. Which parts of this San Andreas law seem most vital for protecting your rights? And which parts might need another look or careful watching as things like AI, encryption, and digital life keep evolving? It's the ongoing challenge, isn't it? Keeping that balance right in a constantly changing world. Something definitely worth reflecting on.
Dude. What the fuck? That's scary, man. That's really useful, but it's also kind of fucking scary, man. That like actual people having a conversation. Dude, that is the coolest thing I've seen with AI yet. That is honestly the coolest thing I've seen with AI. Holy fuck. That is so cool. I typed in, because I guess the typing is different. And I said, can you find any legal loopholes in this legislation? And it listed out 11 different things. Jesus, man. This is crazy. Undefined Suarez standard for detained arrest, but that one's fine. Broad claim of exigent circumstances for warrantless entry. Exigent circumstances is found to include a claim of necessary intervention, or a claim of necessary entry, or a claim of articulable probable cause. As the repeated use of claim is significant, it implies that a mere assertion by a law enforcement officer might sufficiently justify warrantless entry into private property. High bar for contesting search warrants in good faith exception. I also agree with that. When I was listening to it, it did sound like if you want to overturn a search warrant, you have to have a lot of backing to that, which is good. Like, it is a good thing, but it might be difficult for a lowly civilian to try and do that without, like, I guess they'd need, like, the marshals involved to investigate the cops. So, like, let's say I don't know, Lang Buddha gets raided, right? And there's a search warrant, and Lang says corruption, man, and says the judge is corrupt and is against me or whatever. Then that would have to be like, how could he prove that without an investigation from someone like the marshals, you know? If it was like a reasonable request. Subjectivity in reasonable circumstances for warrant execution delay. I guess it's just, yeah, subjective. It says other reasonable circumstances. Dude, this is sick. This is crazy. I could download that podcast too. This is insane. And you can add like a bunch of shit to this. My God. So like, let's say I'm bored. Not bored, or I just don't want to type anything. I guess I could do interactive mode, right? And then start play and then just click join.
Hey there. Want to share your thoughts on this?
When a search warrant's not required, bruv.
That is such a good question and a really important one to clarify.
Yeah, it gets way to the heart of it, doesn't it?
Because when we think of search warrant, we often think of this absolute requirement.
Right, it's like it's always needed.
But the legislation does outline very specific situations where a warrant isn't required.
These are the exceptions, designed for very particular circumstances.
This is crazy.
And it's not arbitrary. It's tied to public safety or the nature of the property itself.
Exactly. For instance, if you're arrested, a search of your person is generally permitted.
Or vehicles, because they can be moved so
This is actually
easily.
really useful. Like, genuinely, this is really useful. Holy shit. That's cool, man. Alright, chat, I'm gonna quickly run to the bathroom. And I'll be back in a sec. I'm gonna get some water is what I think. What do you want on? It's... I'm back, but my game crashed, I guess. Okay, we're back to it. What's going on with this Princess Elena stuff? They're charging her with treason, accessory to terrorism, embezzlement, reckless endangerment, and conspiracy. God damn. How do I can add new sources to this? Wait, I can add YouTube and websites slash. Oh my god! As sources, you can upload the Google Docs, Google Slides, websites, YouTube, copy text, or any type of file. Wait, hold on a second. Can I? Hold on. Wait, can I do this? Oh, it needs to be under 200 meg. Hold on, I'm trying something. Twenty percent more surface port AC net better. Hell yeah! No more do not pee in your room. Love that. Okay, I want to see what this does with an interrogation. I'm very interested to see what they can do with it. First of all, what is it going to do with an MP3? Oh my god. Hold on a second. How do I... How does this work? I'm just going to default it and see what happens there. So it's based on the interrogation of Wyatt Jones. Would the sources be properly cited if uploaded, though? Good question, man. Good question. I don't know. I might need to make a new file for it. Or just so I can sit on my PC and play Duke for longer. Only reason. Nice. Oh, all the flags are down. What the fuck? Uh-oh. Am I scuffed there? I might be scuffed. Let's see. What's this? I got $2 from that. Can I pick these up now or not? These flags are scuffed. Weird. Alright, let's head up to the marshal office. So I want to read through some stuff, and I think Gunnar might be on his way. I want to have a look through these subpoenas. Also, is Tally around? No. There's no lumber company people either. Two new contacts. Fog. I don't like in general, but I feel this larger margin for misinformation and error through the podcast. Oh, 100%, yeah. They put it on the bottom. They put it that there's likely to be inaccuracies. Okay.
Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, picture this for a second. You're a business owner, right? And you're heading into what feels like a totally standard interview, maybe about, I don't know, supply chains, new partners, pretty normal stuff. But then things take, an unnerving turn. That simple deal, that transaction you thought was straightforward, suddenly it's pointing directly towards a really dangerous organization. What do you even do then? How does that happen? And that's exactly what we're getting into today. We're pulling apart an actual interrogation transcript. Involves the owner of a lumber company. Sounds simple enough, but it leads to some pretty shocking revelations. So our mission here is to unpack all these layers, find the surprising facts, and help you understand the, frankly, kind of bewildering implications when a basic business interaction goes spectacularly wrong. All right, let's start at the beginning. Let's meet Wyatt Jones. He owns the Lumber Co. It's a furniture manufacturing business. And you get a little feel for him right away. He apparently says his hat is, quote, literally my identity. Gives you a sense of someone maybe grounded, predictable, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. But what's really interesting is how quickly things changed operationally at his company, the Lumber Co. Just last week, actually, this took effect. After about 3 weeks of talks, they totally outsourced their furniture making. These new contractors, they're called DLC and Lifers RS in the transcript.
Oh my god.
Lifers RS and DOC. And the deal was Wyatt's company pays for materials, and then they split the profit 50-50 with these contractors, which is, you know, a huge shift from how they used to do things. Before,
this is from an MP3, by the way.
In-house. They had this warehouse.
Of the interrogation.
Pretty busy place, like 18 to 20 workbenches going at once. And interestingly, not just anyone could get in there. The transcript lists Tally, Marks, Helios, Hannah, someone just called some lumberjack, and even a former guy, Michael Russell, apparently kept his keys because he left on good terms or something.
Right, okay. And Wyatt himself, he says business has actually gotten better
Hold
since
on.
they made this change.
That's interesting.
And for record keeping, it all sounded pretty standard. They used a cloud-based invoice system, you know, tracking sales, purchases, all that. Okay, so now let's set the scene for the interrogation itself. This happened April 17th, 2025. It was late evening, 22.19 UTC to be exact. The interviewer, Field Director Richard Doe, Senator State
Richard
Marshals,
who?
Wyatt Jones, ID confirmed and everything. He gets Mirandized, or, read his rights. And he understood them, waived his right to have a lawyer present. Seemed like it was all starting cooperatively,
Yeah, seemed that way. But the marshals weren't just there for a friendly chat. The interrogator, Doe, he quickly got to the real point. He said
Doe!
Wyatt's name had, quote, came up in another investigation, and that they just wanted to clear things up. That was the phrase used. But then, well, here comes the bombshell. Doe alleges Wyatt had been in contact with a specific phone number. And he flat out states this number is, quote, tied to a terrorist organization known as the Faceless.
Wow. Okay. And not just a vague claim either, right? They had details. Phone records showing 12 calls between Wyatt and this number.
Oh my God.
This is between February 14th and March 18th of that year. And these weren't just quick hello goodbye calls. They lasted, 20 to 40 minutes each? That's significant contact. So Wyatt's reaction, predictable maybe? Outright denial. He insisted, absolutely insisted. He didn't know any group called the Faceless.
Yeah,
He said he didn't have that
he's an
number
AI
saved under that
podcast,
name.
man.
He claimed that in his phone, the contact was just saved as Wood. Simple as that.
Just wood.
Yeah.
Right. And his reason for all these long calls, he needed, specifically, high-quality wood. He explained there was this huge shortage of it in the city, so we had to look elsewhere, find other suppliers. And there was this text message the interrogator brought up. It said something like, need to speak with you about these furniture parts. Wyatt's explanation for that was, well, he said furniture parts was just his shorthand for wood. Because, and this is his logic, the wood is a furniture part.
Okay. Stretching it a bit, maybe.
Seems that way.
And just
Oh
to
my
give
God,
everyone
the
a sense of the
podcast
scale
doesn't
here,
even
why this one was so
know.
important, the lumber co needed a lot of it. We're talking like 50 to 60 high-quality planks a day, and sometimes during busy weeks, up to 150 planks daily. That's a huge volume.
Huge volume. And the cost
Yeah.
is where it gets, well, pretty extraordinary. Wyatt said he was paying somewhere between $500 and $800 per plank.
Well, plank. Wow.
Yeah, sometimes even more. He mentioned maybe up to 800.
And the purchase sizes. He wasn't just buying a few planks here and there. He mentioned buying 300 or 400 at a time, which he then clarified meant like 300-400 grand, hundreds of thousands of dollars per
Yes.
transaction.
Just massive amounts of money supposedly
This
for wood.
is so
How did he even
good.
connect with this supplier? Did he seek them out? No, he said they reached out to me first, claimed they just contacted him saying they had wood for sale.
And the actual exchange, the logistics. Surprisingly simple, almost. Crude, considering the money involved. Wyatt would drive his truck a Bison, he said, or maybe a small van to
It
the
feels
lumber
like a
mill.
true crime podcast.
And the supplier would
that-
just be there waiting in their own truck. And they do what Wyatt called a swap wood. Basically, Wyatt takes the wood out of their truck, puts it in his head. That's it.
And the person he dealt with, did he know who it was? He described him as just a normal dude, wearing flannel, looking like, quote, a damn lumberjack. Very stereotypical was his phrase.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
claimed he didn't know the guy's name.
Didn't know his name,
Oh.
dealing in hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
in payment. Well, the supplier apparently really preferred cash. Wyatt said he pushed for some bank transfers sometimes because he liked, keeping records, which sounds responsible, but
But the preference for cash is a classic red flag, isn't it? Especially for those amounts.
exactly.
They
And that desire
know.
for records
They know.
seems a bit at odds with the anonymity of the whole setup. But this is where Wyatt's story really starts to hit some snags. Remember those 12 calls? The interrogator pointed out something crucial from the phone logs. All 12 calls between February 14th and March 18th. They were all incoming calls to Wyatt, meaning, according to the records, Wyatt hadn't called them even once.
Not once. And Wyatt's response to that?
He seemed surprised. He said, I'm pretty sure I called him a few times, actually. But the logs didn't show that. That's a direct contradiction.
Okay, that's a big one. And it wasn't the only inconsistency, was it? Like the number
heard
of transactions,
the
Wyatt
500
initially
hours of
said maybe
podcasts
4 or
is
5 times
too
he followed
similar.
it this way. But the
That's great.
interrogator countered, pointing out calls happened on 8 separate days during that period, which implies, potentially 8 transactions. And when faced with that, Wyatt kind of backtracked, admitting it might be more than that. There was also that timeline thing. Wyatt tried to make it sound like this was all a while ago, saying it had been a minute since the last deal. But the calls were pretty recent, February, March. That doesn't really square with a minute, does it?
No, it doesn't add up neatly. And then there's his reaction to the core accusation, the link to the Faceless, as a, quote, terrorist organization. He expressed, total shock, outright denial. He even dismissed related claims the interrogator mentioned, stuff about people dying and coming back to life, calling it FB, apparently. Just complete disbelief. But considering the frequency of contact, those long calls, the huge sums of money changing hands, mostly in cash, with an anonymous supplier, how plausible is that level of total ignorance? You have to wonder, what kind of high-quality wood costs that much and involves that level of secrecy? And why would a terrorist organization be dealing in wood? It's such a bizarre intersection.
It really is. That's the crux of it, isn't it? The sheer weirdness of this faceless group apparently operating like a high-end lumber wholesaler. It makes you question Wyatt's reaction. Is it genuine shock or...
Or is it trying very hard to appear shocked, trying to maintain plausible deniability? That's what investigators have to figure out. The denial seems almost too strong, maybe.
So how did the interview wrap up? Did Wyatt stick to his story?
Did
despite the
I need to know.
inconsistencies, he did agree to cooperate further. He offered to send over invoices, bank account details, anything related to these wood purchases.
Yeah, he did offer that up. And the interrogator, Field Director Doe, his take seemed to be...
Damn it.
Well,
Field
he actually
Director
told
Doe.
Wyatt he thought he'd been bamboozled, like genuinely fooled.
Bamboozled. Seriously, after all that.
Apparently so. Or that's the impression he gave Wyatt. Maybe strategically, maybe not. But he also gave him a pretty stark warning. He said, these guys are pretty dangerous. He even offered to have officers do welfare checks on Wyatt, which is unusual. And he made a specific request.
Hey.
If the Faceless, or whoever this supplier was, contacted him again about selling wood, Wyatt should call him Doe immediately so they could, quote, check something out.
Damn it, Richard
Wow.
Doe.
Okay. So, let's process this. What does this whole strange story mean for you, listening right now?
I
does it
think this
mean?
deep dive really, really shows how easily a seemingly normal business won. Making furniture, buying lumber, it doesn't get much more ordinary, can get tangled up in something incredibly complex and dangerous. It happens through what look like simple supply deals. It just peels back the curtain on these hidden networks that can operate right
Damn it,
underneath the
Doe.
surface of everyday business. You buy wood, suddenly you're getting calls logged in a terrorism investigation. It's wild.
It truly is. It highlights how sophisticated these groups can be,
Right.
potentially using very mundane industries like lumber as a front or a way to move money or
yeah,
resources. It makes them incredibly hard to spot. Exactly. So here's something to think about as you go about your day. Given the crazy amounts of money involved here, this high-quality wood, and its supposed link to this dangerous group, what other totally ordinary
Whoa.
industries might have similar high-stakes hidden connections lurking beneath the
So
surface?
many
And maybe the more chilling
screens.
question, how much do the people running these otherwise legitimate
Fog.
businesses actually know or choose not to know about where their supplies are really coming from? It shows how just trying to get a good deal on materials could potentially pull an ordinary person into a
Not
very
enough.
dangerous world.
We've got a fucking crafting bench in here. Oh, my podcast is over, man. Fuck. Damn it. My podcast is finished. Son of a bitch. Yeah, we got a little. This is nice, man. This is beautiful. We got gun storage up here. Hell yeah, man. Wait, is this the dispatch chair? It's not. How do we get the dispatch chair? I want the dispatch chair. Just don't know who killed White yet? No, we don't. We've been doing a little bit of digging with some people who know Wyatt today. I need to catch up. I haven't been around for a hot minute, so I need to catch up with Brian, who's the lead on it, and see what he knows and if he knows anything or has done anything. I don't think it's this one. It's like a really leather one. It might be. Let's try high quality. It's not this. Not this. It might not be high quality. Is it this one? I've reached the limit. Oh my god. Yeah, let me try. Is this the one? I don't know what it is. I don't know what the one is that's at Mission Row. I can't remember what it is. That one should let us do camera stuff. For this one. There is more screens, yeah. I don't think it's this one. I thought it was this one, but it's not. Let me leave the building and come back in. I can't believe they took that off. So that was an MP4. I converted it to an MP3. And then they, I guess, analyzed the whole thing and managed to make a podcast out of it. It's crazy. It would be hella long, but imagine if you make a podcast go over all the police reports over the past 24 hours to start your day. That'd be so useful. Be so good that we could literally put all the faceless reports in there, but it would be they'd be too long. It would be too many. Oh, Gunnar's around now. He's at the wrong office.
Hi there. Hello.
Have to hear one on Edgar. I don't know whether do I have any Edgar interrogations. What? I've really got no videos with Edgar in the title. Interrogate that one, Tyler Peters. Have I not? Did I not interrogate? I swear I interrogated Edgar for something. I could swear it. Would have been under the faceless ones, right? When it was Beric? But it's not up on YouTube. Oh. Did we miss that one? Oh. He got caught for Barrick hunted by the faceless. I feel like he didn't get caught when that happened. I mean, maybe. Actually, no. I think he did. Hold on. I think you're right. Let me see if I can find it in here.
All right. Hey, honey.
This was.
I'm just gonna tell Rose I gotta take a nap.
No. Well, this isn't the full. We've lost half of the fucking. The Beric Day. We lost half of it.
Dog.
Remember this?
His screams weren't just the knives. The blades entering his chest, or the rat nibbling on his flesh. The worst of it was knowing it didn't have to fucking happen, dog. All you needed was to hand over the subpoena. All you needed was to hand over a simple piece of fucking paper. But it didn't happen. You didn't do it.
When was was it here? The first mention of the Kiga stuff that we learned.
Hello, Craig.
Was it here?
What's I got here?
Oh, at one point also Shang was trying to get into the room he was in.
Hello?
Head down. Mr.
From you. Yeah,
Abby?
you really know exactly how to word this.
17717.
Your old friend, the doctor,
There's been so much good RP
wanted me
these past few months. So
to...
crazy. Who's this?
Well, if that's the case, then tell me what happened last night.
Who am I
What
on the
happened
phone
last
with?
night is that guy's sick, and you
Oh, it's
dumbass.
Brandon. Brandon. Who's this? Robin? I'm trying to find the face to school. I can't find it. Where's Gunner? Is he on his way up? What's he doing, man?
Hello.
What's taking you so long?
What do you mean?
Well, I see you down at the office, but I'm in the other office.
I'm driving up there right now.
Well, yeah, but what took you so? Were you taking a dump?
No, I was just, getting some stuff fixed in my pockets. I didn't even really check who was on duty either, But I'm gonna tell you what. I'm on my way up there right now, okay? And also, you want the bad news first or you want the worst news first?
What? What bad news, shit?
You want the bad news or the worst news?
The bad news.
So you want to start with the bad news and then move on to the worst news?
Correct.
All right. We'll do that when I get up there then.
Well, why did you say that now? So I have to wait.
Oh, because I'm trying to be ominous about it, real ominous.
Okay, she's
I'm gonna be there in probably like 15 seconds.
Okay, bye-bye.
15 seconds. Bye.
On me. Hurry up, Gunner, man. The worst news. The bad news for the worst news is not a great start. What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Why is he like this, man? He's protecting his country, guys. His beautiful country. What is he? Oh, he's coming closer. What the fuck? It's the middle of the day. There's gunshots being reported. Stop it!
America and freedom and justice and liberty.
You know, some locals are just calling shots fired up here, man.
That ain't my problem.
It will be.
No, that's freedom and liberty and justice.
Get in there. Get in there. I'm gonna call that in.
There ain't no reason to call that in. No, it's gonna be happening all day long. Oh, you missed the 4th of July, didn't you? You limey bastard, you.
You can't be. It's in the middle of the day, man. You can't be shooting that shit off.
Oh yeah, absolutely you can, because this is America and this is freedom and justice and liberty.
You can't even see the firework.
Oh no, you definitely can. You definitely can.
No, you
Yeah, you
can't.
can.
It's daytime.
No, they're real bright. They shine as bright as America does on this
Can you
globe.
put some proper clothes on, man?
This is as proper as it gets. What do you mean? Doesn't get much
You
more
look like
proper
a
than this.
mascot
You know what?
for like a C League.
Okay, fine. I'll go put on
NFL.
something a little more comfortable, okay? A little more.
Oh, damn it, man. Thank God.
Yeah, you know, it's been quite the week.
Come to my
Richard.
desk. Come to my desk.
Oh, of course. No, your desk is back there.
Nope.
Yeah, your desk is back there.
Nope.
Yep, back. Yep.
This one's mine right here.
No, I'm pretty sure it's back there.
That's right.
Nope. Back there in that door right there.
All my
Right
things
through
are
that
all
door.
my things are right here.
No, I thought I moved most of your stuff in there.
Nope.
Yeah. While you were gone, I just picked it all up, put
Nope.
it in your desk in there. Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
Come on, just come tell me the news,
All
man.
right. Well, anyway. Who's eating all these nuts?
I don't know whose desk that is.
Might be the intern Bob. You know, the guy who's always sitting over there. Anyway.
You hired an intern with that talking
Yeah,
to me?
yeah. He shows up every now and then. You know, he sits over there. You know, he doesn't talk very much. He's you know, he
Right. Okay.
I believe he is LGBTQIA plus, so he might look like, you know, whatever any day of the week. Okay.
Right. What's his news?
Okay, so we'll start with the bad news. The bad news is
What is on this screen?
all of the evidence in the VV impeachment is fucked.
What do you mean
So
fucked?
it's all Kappa evidence. So, and I
Oh.
do believe some of that may actually be unrecoverable.
Okay.
In which case, I don't even know where to begin with that. All of the evidence in the subpoenas, all of the attached reports is broken. Every bit of evidence is broken.
Are they aware of that?
I do not know. I don't think so. I haven't posted that on the docket.
You should probably let them know that that's a thing and you're doing your best to recover everything, you know?
But how am I even going to get that in? I can't edit the report.
Just ask for exception. Just say, that I guess you ask for permission from the judge to, I don't know, edit the reports with the correct images that you can replace, you know what I mean?
I have pretty much nothing.
That's
Like,
not right.
I took stuff from other people for this investigation, you know what I mean? I did not do very much firsthand, like taking
Oh yeah, like
pictures or
Peter's
doing anything.
screenshots.
Everything.
Then...
That's everything, yeah.
Hmm.
I pretty much have nothing. So I was leading the investigation, but I wasn't really the one, you know, I was not doing the groundwork, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I don't really have the necessary evidence to even put back into the report if I could.
Well, I'll have a look through my shit and see if I've got anything. When's the case set?
It hasn't been scheduled yet. They tried to schedule it for the 8th, but I mean, hopefully me and you will both be, you know, occupied that day. Anyway, this gets much worse, Dark. This gets much worse. Okay, much worse.
Yeah. You said you were gonna tell me the worst news first.
Oh, I did. Sorry, I started with the not
That's
bad
fucked
news
up.
first. Oh, god damn it. Well, no, you said you wanted the not bad news, and then we moved to
No,
the
I
worst.
wanted
I
the
could have
worst.
swore.
Yep. Don't gaslight
you
me,
said
sunshine.
no. You definitely said it the other way. Anyway, so there was a motion on the docket to compel me to release the witness names in the People's F that was in VV's
Yeah.
report. I obviously motioned against that. In that time that I motioned, between the judge motioning back, after the judge motioned back, I woke up in the ICU.
What happened there?
All I know is I was having, a discussion with Seamus McCarthy in the marshal's office. He was coming in, creating some ruckus. We had about 10-15 minute discussion, and I waited probably 10-20 minutes. I was starving, Dark. I was so hungry, so I went out to the truck. I started going out to the truck, and that's the last thing I remember. And then I woke up in the ICU like a day later. I looked at the report that was associated with my shooting, and I seen a casing come back to that report, right?
Right, what's your report number for your shooting?
My shooting is 27387. So I look at the casing. I searched everything in there, obviously, but came across the casing, seeing that it came back to an incident the next day while I was in the ICU, where Brian Knight responded to a 911 in which Seamus McCarthy had gotten in a motor accident on Roy Lowenstein. It says Knight had suspected it had been him since I had clocked him on his way into the South Side moments earlier. Upon arrival, Knight had confirmed his suspicion, seeing a bike on scene, had said RO, and McCarthy responded to him. Knight removed McCarthy's helmet so that he could properly breathe before transporting him to CMC. Seamus was frisked and searched as he was a suspect for a murder 2 days ago, which that doesn't matter. His transportation to CMC for medical, via legislation, you have to ask them permission to search them for that, and was informed for the frisk and search and that charges would not be pressed at the time. He has been asked to come down to MRPD for a statement pertaining to the situation. So what it looks like here to me, Dark, is that the gun that came back to shooting me was illegally taken off of Seamus McCarthy. Brian Knight illegally searched him, took this gun off of him, and at that time, this incident, if investigated properly, would have 100%, if we could have, come across this gun in Seamus McCarthy's possession, would have 100% made it so I was not compelled to release the names of these EMS workers. So because Brian Knight mishandled this shooting, I was compelled to release the names of the EMS in that report. I have brought this to Peter's attention, but nothing has been done with it in a little bit here. So that's why I'm bringing it to you. I haven't brought it to anybody else. If I didn't see you, I was planning on bringing it to the chief. But yeah, that's what I have. Obviously, I can't investigate this much more than that. I'm obviously conflicted from this. And I believe, in most jurisdictions, being shot down by the defense would also conflict me from prosecuting him. I don't know if that's the route we want to go, where I'm conflicted from the case prosecuting him, but in pretty much every jurisdiction, I would be conflicted. Well, from even the prosecution of him,
no, that should be fine.
I think it should be fine.
What's his motive that Brian mentions in the report?
I don't know, but all I know is I've talked with a few people. We believe it is immaterial whether he was a suspect if there was no warrant. You don't have reason to believe he is presently armed and dangerous, especially given the fact that he was on the ground incapacitated. I do not know how you could possibly articulate the and dangerous part. Maybe you believe he was a suspect for a murder 2 days ago. Maybe there's some articulation that he was armed. I doubt it. But based on the search and seizure legislation, this is, based on my reading, a clear violation of Seamus McCarthy's rights and would definitely taint the investigation of the shooting of me.
Well, do we know if he denied the The first?
I'm gonna go ahead and venture to guess that Seamus McCarthy would not have let Brian Knight search him with a gun. That comes back to the shooting of me on it. I'm just gonna. Everybody I talked to seemed to agree that that's probably the case. No, I did not talk to him about this. I'm obviously conflicted. He came to me with something about this, and he basically told me what's in this report. Obviously I can't handle this, so.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's dodgy, but let me have a look at something, because I'm just going to have a look at the report that Brian did on that was linked to it, which is this murder case.
Well, the reason I've been denied being able to seal these witnesses' names is because I have no credible threat against the EMS. Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that if Seamus McCarthy was caught shooting down the prosecution, that we would be able to argue a credible threat against the witnesses. That is not what was able to happen because of the mishandling of the situation. I do believe the EMS are in grave danger now that their names have been released. And further, I think that they're going to blame us, even though I, did my very best to not get that released.
Yeah. I thing is, I think Brian, because we don't know the whole transportation to CMC thing, right?
Literally, the only way this is a good search is if Seamus McCarthy agreed to be searched.
The thing is, like, let's say I'm Brian on the scene, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give you this ambulance, but I'll go search you first, right? That's just a statement. If I was, I can see a situation where the injured party's like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? They might not realize they can refuse. It's not on Brian or myself to inform them of their right to refuse.
It absolutely is. Citizens are within their right to refuse, but under other circumstances, law enforcement. It says that law enforcement officers may perform search of a person for officer and or medical personnel safety when there's an articulate person or a sufficient probable cause that the individual was involved in a crime and could be armed. Should said person need to be transported for medical care in a government-operated vehicle, citizens are within their right to refuse the search, but under this circumstance, law enforcement officer and medical personnel are not required to transport or treat them any further. If he did not believe he was in his right to refuse that search, his rights were violated.
There's nothing in this legislation states that you have to tell the person that they can refuse it.
If they don't believe that they have the right to refuse, I believe that their rights were violated. Just because it doesn't clearly say that you have to tell them, if they believe that they don't have the right to refuse the search, I think that's a violation of their right. Just because you can say, this person could have refused and they didn't, so I went ahead and searched them, and then they say, well, I thought I was detained and that you were just searching me, and nobody ever told me that I can refuse.
It happens every day when like cops are on they do a traffic stop and they're like, I smell weed, but can I search your? No, but then they ask, you say, do you mind if I search your car? Then people might not know that they can refuse it.
Well, no, if you're asking, do you mind if I search this car? I would say that they clearly know that they can refuse.
Right.
Right. If I ask you, do you mind if I search you? I don't think any reasonable person would say that you didn't think that you had the right to refuse that search. Not giving them the right to refuse the search is saying, okay, so you're going to be searched today.